exciting speaker, but Tim, I couldn't get the governor here. Now, you think that's a joke. Well, you know, Michigan Republicans can't tell the difference between me and Governor Granholm. It just goes to show you that Michigan Republicans have no vision. But I want to thank you for your hospitality and your sense of humor this evening. But you know, and I don't really have to spend much time talking to you about the circumstances we face in the state of Michigan right now. But it should be said that in 2010 we face a very fundamental decision in this state. Because of all these circumstances, we know that Michigan moving forward is going to be different than Michigan as we've known it. You know, the automotive industry is still going to be part of this state's economy, but it's not going to be the job producer that it's been for us in the past. We have challenges, and we face, quite frankly, a very fundamental decision in 2010. We can do as some quite clearly are suggesting today, and that's engage to a race to the bottom. But you know, the only thing that happens in a race to the bottom is you reach the bottom. It's pretty common sense. Our job is to show where we need to go. You know, it's kind of like a bus going off the road and into the ditch. Our economy has gone off the road and into the ditch. And perhaps the worst economic storm of this century. But when a bus goes in the ditch, people get off. And one group kind of gathers off to the side, talks among themselves, trying to figure out who they're going to blame for the bus being in the ditch. I mean, is it the bus driver? Is it the mechanic? I mean, you can almost hear Nolan Finley here. You know, and of course, there are people on the bus with us that we didn't much care for. Maybe we can throw them under the bus and get the bus back on the road. And of course, there are people also who are so frustrated with that backbiting that they're spending their time trying to figure out how they get home all by themselves. But responsible people understand that what you have to do is get behind the bus, push the bus back on the road, get everyone back on the bus, and get the bus heading down the road to where you need to go. And that's the challenge we face. And in the end, the answer is fairly simple and common sense. That you have to take those great assets that you have and make them work for you. You have to make sure that the people in the state who are so adept at making things have the opportunity to do what they know best. And you have to use the nation's best system of public higher educational institutions to put the new technologies of the future to work on behalf of Michigan's economy. Whether it's in the area of life sciences, and in fact, the stem cell proposal that we passed last year is creating a renaissance in life science research and development in Michigan today. Or in the area of advanced manufacturing or alternative energy. All of those things will have the products of the future that if we commercialize them in Michigan, produce them in Michigan, and sell them for Michigan, will create jobs and diversify the state's economy. And then we have our greatest asset, and that's the 20% of the world's supply of fresh water that surrounds this state. That is our oil, and that is our gold. And you know, last year in the city of Atlanta, there was a drought and the reservoir dropped and they put a moratorium on economic development in Atlanta. Well, Michigan is not going to sell its water to Atlanta. And we're not going to sell our water to Georgia or any other state that's dry. But what we will do is tell those businesses in those states, if you need water, you come to Michigan, bring your jobs with you, and you can have all the water you need. But we've also done one other thing. Last year we signed a memorandum of understanding with the nation of Israel. And we agreed with Israel to make Michigan the gateway for Israeli water technology. So if a business doesn't want to move to Michigan, we'll sell them the technology that will allow them to have water where they're at. In any way, we will make sure that that asset creates jobs for the state, whether it be in manufacturing or tourism or recreation, whatever that water will do to create and strengthen our economy, we'll make it happen. And that's ultimately how you put Michigan back on a strong footing, is you take the assets you have, you use common sense, you make it work for them, for us, and that will in fact diversify our economy and create the jobs that we need, because when it's all said and done, you know what it's about? It's about whether your grandkids can stay here in Michigan. That's what it's about. You know, it's all about dreams. It's about dreams and whether people can realize dreams if they live here in the state, and I know we can. You know, in a previous life, I was an international representative for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, and one of my jobs, if you ask me people here, and one of my jobs was to teach political action seminars. And when we did that, we showed a movie, and the movie was produced by the Ladies Garment Workers Union. It told about the history of their union and people from Eastern Europe coming to the United States, learning the needle trades, and through organized labor, developing a decent quality of life and a middle class in this nation. It's an uplifting movie. But in that movie, there was a theme that ran throughout it. And that theme was via a song. And the lyrics of the song went like this: freedom is a very precious thing. You have to live for it. You have to fight for it. Some even die for it. But every generation has to learn it all again. Every generation has to learn it all again. In 2010, we're being called as a generation to define Michigan's future. And how we do that will literally make Michigan for the next 20 years. It's a major, awesome responsibility. But I know it's a responsibility that Democrats are up for, because we're not about to engage in a race to the bottom. We want a race to the top. We want Michigan to be a strong state with a future for our children and our grandchildren, and we're prepared to work hard to make that happen. I know you are. You've shown it. You elected Gary. That was an important first step. Now we got to finish the job. 2010 is our moment, the time that our generation is being called to do its job. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to address you tonight. I look forward to working with every one of you for a great Democratic victory in 2010, whether it's Ed there running for state representative, or it's making sure that the Oakland County Commission goes Democratic. Yeah.